So as Stan said, I am a professor at Brock, and I'm a professor in the Faculty of Education. And unlike some of my colleagues in chemistry or physics, you meet a chemistry professor, oh, you teach chemistry. You meet a history professor, oh, of course, you teach history. You meet an education professor, and people kind of go, what exactly is it that you do? So to make it simple, I teach teachers. I teach student teachers, I teach new teachers, I teach adult educators in undergraduate courses, and I even teach veteran teachers and principals in graduate leadership courses. But because I work with student teachers and I'm also a researcher, I don't spend all my time on campus. I spend time in elementary and secondary schools, seeing what's happening in those schools. And because I get to sit right at the intersection of K to 12, so that's kindergarten to grade 12, and higher ed, I have a great opportunity to look out and see what's happening all across that we call it K to 20 landscape. And as I sit back and see what's happening, there is one thing that is fundamentally shaking the foundation of education everywhere. And that's very simple. And I can see some people nodding their heads. They already know where I'm going. And that's technology. Technology is significantly changing everything we do in education. Now, I can talk about all the bits and the bytes and the mobile technologies and social technologies and all of those things, but you know what? People really don't care about the technical specs. They care about how is it impacting students? How is it changing the lives of students? And to illustrate that, I like to talk about the response that students today have to one simple question. And it's a question that I can guarantee that you've been asked or you have asked a student. Very simple question. What do you want to do when you grow up? Or, if they're in university or college, what do you want to do when you graduate? It's a simple question, but it implies that, oh, you can't do anything important. You can't have an impact on the real world until you grow up or you graduate. And for me, that's the huge impact that technology is having on students. Because technology is giving them the tools that they can make an impact on the real world. They can do important things before they graduate, before they grow up. And I'm going to share with you a couple of examples of that. Here's my first one. This is Martha. She lives in Scotland. She's only 9. And in contrast to our school system, where most kids bring their own lunch, in Scotland, the school provides a hot lunch. Now, Martha was not happy with the quality of the food at her school lunch. So she complained, and other kids complained, but nothing seemed to happen about it. So with some help with her dad, she created a blog. And her blog was quite simple. All she did was take pictures of these crappy lunches that they were giving them every day. And as more people started seeing these pictures, and they were aghast at what these pictures looked like, more people started following her blog till she got millions of hits on her blog. And then the international media picked up on it. Finally, despite all the complaints from kids for years after years, finally, now that they've basically been embarrassed worldwide, they decide to improve the quality of the school lunches. Here's my next example. This is a little closer to home. This is a grade 7 student in York region. So he was unhappy, like many students are, unhappy that he started school in the fall. Where are my extracurricular activities? Some schools had them, some schools had a few, some schools had none. And he was unhappy about that. So he could have just stomped away and been upset, but he went to Facebook and created a Facebook group and started connecting with other young people across Ontario. What's happening in your school? What are you guys doing about it? And they started collaborating about how could they work to fill this need of extracurricular activities. And this is my favorite example. These are two 17-year-olds from Toronto. They watch a video from some MIT students, university students, launching a weather balloon. And they think, hey, that's pretty cool. We can try that. So they sit down, they teach themselves, they learn how to make a weather balloon, literally get a sewing machine and sew it together. They calculate how much helium they're going to need. They send this balloon up. Not just that they send it up, they send it 8,000 feet into near space with 4 cameras on it. And not just that they sent it up, they tracked the weather pattern and the wind so they would know where it could come back down so they could get it. Because unless they had that video going up, no one would know that they did it. Then they posted that video online for other people to learn from that. So take a look at these young people and think about, what do you see? Some people say, oh, I see some very bright kids. That's great. But I see more than that. I see a food critic, I see a community organizer, and I see some engineers. More importantly, what I see are leaders. These are some great young leaders. We're also going to hear from a great young leader later on this afternoon or this morning. But I see leaders, and other people think, well, they're just kids. They can't be leaders. Remembering I'm an academic, I wrote my dissertation about leadership. And from an academic perspective, leadership is considered any deliberate action to influence the knowledge, practice, or motivation of others. Any deliberate action to influence others. And that's what these young people have done. They have influenced other people. And they wanted to influence other people. That was their intent. This leads me to tech-enabled leadership. Because it wasn't just they wanted to influence others, they used technology in how they influenced others. They used their blogs in a very open and transparent way to see what was happening at their school. They used Facebook to collaborate with others. And they used YouTube in a very dynamic way, understanding that influencing others is a process of being influenced by others at the same time. It acknowledges that part of leadership is taking turns sharing this leadership hat. And so for me, tech-enabled leadership is any leadership action that uses technology to create leadership practices that are open, collaborative, and dynamic. Now, personally, I think tech-enabled leadership is fantastic, and I'm very excited about what's going to happen as this grows. But there are a lot of people that, no, they're not ready for it. They like the status quo. They like their rigid hierarchies. They like knowing I'm the boss, and you, below me, are not going to influence what happens in our organization. Now, I share this with you because it's a little bit of a warning. So for all the people that are here today, the people that sit in the corner office, the people that have the title on their door, the people that sign the paychecks, how are you going to react when these tech-enabled leaders come into your organization? Maybe you're like me and you've become obsessed about tech-enabled leadership. And you'll react in a way that's open, collaborative, and dynamic. So when that intern comes into your newspaper and has a great story, and they don't have to go to you as the boss for permission to share the story, because they have 2,000 followers on Twitter. They can break that story whenever they want. Or maybe it's that city clerk who realized we have a problem in our city. I don't have to go to the boss to look for a solution. I can go to my 150 Facebook friends, and collaboratively we can come up with a solution to that city problem. Or maybe it's that trainee in your multinational corporation that decided to make videos of the training process and post that online so that it could influence the training for other new employees worldwide in your organization. How are you going to react when these things start happening? Are you going to react in a way that's open, collaborative, and dynamic? I'm going to conclude by going back to that first question I talked about. And no, I'm not going to ask you what you want to be when you grow up. But I do want you to think about the future. I want you to think about what's going to happen when these young, tech-enabled leaders come into your organization. How are you going to react? What are you going to do? So the question I want to leave you with is, what kind of leader do you want to be? Thank you.